Greetings to all our fantastic audience. Where are you viewing from? Please comment below. And now let's get into the tale. 12 years at that wretched car lot and I still got summoned to the Monday morning assembly like I was some fresh recruit. No warning, no schedule, just every employee. Meeting room, immediately. I entered and Justin was already reclining in the large seat, one foot on the table edge like it was his personal space. The man has been general manager for half a year, wed the proprietor's girl after courting her for roughly 15 minutes. And abruptly he believes he's a bloody genius. I took a seat near the rear, same place I always did. Half the mechanic team seemed half asleep, the accounts guy was curing a headache, and Layla was messaging under the table. Justin slapped his palms once like we were preschoolers. Okay, get comfortable. Then he began babbling about 3-month adjustments and industry adaptability, which meant nothing to half the room and irritated the other half. Then he said it directly in front of everybody. We're simplifying procedures, he stated, chewing his gum like an animal. We need messages, not archivists. Some of the men chuckled, really uncomfortable. A few just stared at their footwear. I understood precisely who that was targeting. Brief note. Before we begin, how's your day progressing and where are you connecting from? Justin shot me a glance after the comment like he anticipated me to respond. I didn't. I just gazed back at him. They have a small nod like I was accepting it. Silent, peaceful, threatening. Coordination is crucial, he stated, doing that in sincere, solemn tone. But in the current economy, practical knowledge tops qualifications. Diplomas don't count for much anymore. He was referring to me, my management degree, my 12 years overseeing company vehicle clients, supplier agreements, maintenance timetables, essentially preventing the entire bloody rear section of the establishment from imploding. But certainly, let's act like the boss's relative who once repaired a personal watercraft is the future of management. Justin glanced at Layla, who sneered. Oh, we're moving duties between divisions, he continued. Let's create space for expansion, I grinned, just sufficiently to inform him I heard every syllable. Under the table, I pressed my key fob twice. It shook once, documenting commenced. I've been gathering everything since the initial occasion he attempted to exclude me from a conversation. I scribbled a note in my notepad, good and orderly. Didn't even glance upward. Justin concluded the gathering like it was a squad pep talk. We're constructing the future, he stated. I rose, placed my pad under my arm, and exited without speaking. Out in the corridor, I passed Kevin, the relative, heading toward the workshop like he owned the building. He nodded at me. I didn't return the nod, just continued strolling. Directly to my workstation, where my incoming tray had already been erased clean of the Daybreak's fleet status update. By the conclusion of that week, Justin wasn't even attempting to conceal it anymore. On Wednesday, he stood behind me in the lounge while I was making coffee, and said loud enough for 3 sales staff to hear, "Be cautious, don't overwork your mind with documents, we don't require another printer malfunction." Then he chuckled like he was the most hilarious person in the structure. I didn't speak, just mixed my coffee leisurely and silent. Back at my station, I observed I couldn't access the supplier scheduling program anymore. No mistake notice, just vanished. The permissions list had been modified that morning. The new main, Kevin. Then came the client redirects. Patrons I'd managed for ages. Fleet accounts who recognized me by name, who'd call my number directly, abruptly started writing generic emails. I verified the back-end configuration. My contact had been removed from 4 key clients, substituted with logistics_team at colexautogroup.com. That wasn't a team, that was Kevin. The next Monday, they removed me from the standard operations call I'd been conducting for over a decade. The invitation just didn't appear. I asked Layla if the gathering was called off. She fluttered her eyes, acted ignorant, stated, "Oh, strange." It wasn't strange. It was the scheme. By Friday, the workstation I'd been using for 12 years was absent. Reallocated. I arrived and found my seat moved into a corner workspace with 2 non-matching partition walls tacked up around it. Squeezed between accounts and parts returns. No pain, no telephone. A new sign dangled on the cubicle structure. Where? Files expert, that was it. That was the final insult. I didn't shout, didn't gripe, didn't request Justin for 5 minutes to converse. I just settled into my new tiny nook, activated my screen, and began verifying document approvals. I created a list, every active document with my autograph on it. Every purchase form, Beck, every fleet timetable, every vendor agreement, anything that might link back to me, and then I began retrieving duplicates. Silently, job orders, supplier records, internal notes, old regulation verification lists, not all electronic. Some on hard copy, a few in binders nobody had opened since 2017. I created them. Marked everything manually. Created portable drive duplicates, plus another collection off location in a security deposit box under my sibling's name. I didn't even inform him. I entered the dealership CRM, the one Justin scarcely comprehended, and began constructing the conditional activation. It was elementary reasoning. If project ownership on any fleet account altered before month end, the framework would compile a bundle of records, autographs, and timetable inconsistencies. It would mark regulation breaches, timestamp them, and email the entire bloody thing to the franchise regulation official at headquarters. No warnings, no notifications, just noiseless and tidy, eh? The ultimate step. I concealed the activation in a daily chore Justin never examined. Timetable synchronization, my review assistance. Just a regular selection box he cleared each daybreak without reading. I executed a trial. It succeeded. Now it was just a question of waiting. Lynn from the front desk came by later that day and rested on the wall of my new cubicle. Her eyebrow raised. Files expert. I gave her a stare. Evidently, I'm too studious for coordination. She shook her head and handed me a misrouted in her office packet. Fleet billing folder. Intended for Justin. Suppose this is your section now. I suppose so. She walked away. I placed the bill into my personal pile and wrote a new tag. Diversion. Unapproved. Fleet Q3. I clicked store on the CRM regulation and signed off for the day. Nothing remaining to do but wait for them to trigger the grenade. Thursday daybreak. Layla tapped on the edge of my cubicle wall like she was trying not to damage a fingernail. Justin wishes to see you. I stood up slowly. She didn't meet my gaze. Just turned on her heel and led the path like she was late for a meal. Justin's door was already open when I got there. He was standing behind his desk like a television host. Palms in his trousers, grin prepared. I stepped inside. He waited for Layla to shut the door before talking. Hey, so hear me out. We're creating some modifications. He stated like he was offering me a beverage, altering the situation, bringing in some novel energy, you understand. I didn't sit. He looked at Layla. She lifted a tablet off the seat. Crimson, like she was checking a forecast application. As of today, we're reconfiguring positions and activities. Kevin will be taking over your post. I lifted an eyebrow. Effective instantly. She nodded. Yes, that was that. I looked over at the side stand near the exit. My container was already filled. Top file was named Historical Papers. My cup was inside wrapped in copier paper. I walked over, lifted it, and adjusted the cover so it wouldn't bend. Justin stepped forward, one hand extended. No ill will. Truthfully, Kevin's got an excellent mind for procedure. You established some firm foundation. I stared at his hand, didn't shake it. Kevin understands his tasks. Correct. Justin grinned like he wasn't certain if I was kidding. I rotated, walked out, and didn't halt until I reached the side exit by the workshop. The daylight hit fiercely. I loaded the container into my rear seat, climbed into my vehicle, and just sat. Didn't start the motor. Didn't check my cell. I sat there observing guys move tires across the rear yard like it was any other Thursday. My eyes moved up to the console clock. 1:58 p.m. I took a deep breath, adjusted the air vent, and waited. 2 o'clock, then 2:01. I pulled out my tablet, accessed the administrator login through mobile connection. One of the few utilities Justin neglected to deactivate. Fleet project head modified, allocated to Kevin Bender. Timestamp 2:01 p.m. The trigger engaged. In the backdrop, silent and automated, the framework constructed the document. All the warning signs, all the discrepancies, all the partially signed orders and user identification changes bundled and lined up. The compliance explosive started ticking. I put the tablet away, rolled down the window partially. A gust cut through the cabin. Behind the structure, I saw Kevin walking toward the unloading bay, all confidence and new footwear. He pulled out his cell and twirled his keychain like he deserved it. I didn't gesture. I let him savor his small arrival one final time. The next daybreak, Kevin appeared early, walking like he was about to film an instruction video. Lynn texted me a picture at 8:12 a.m. him standing by my former desk, rotating it to face the pane like he was going to view Dawn's while messing up bills. His own seat arrived around 10, brought from somewhere expensive, ergonomic as heaven. Then the Bluetooth speaker. He streamed light rock all day apparently. By lunch, he'd renamed the primary order monitoring folder. New title. Simple stream. No capitals. No date. Just stupid as hell. Lynn's caption under the picture. This guy's going to sync. Immediately after that, he erased a file I'd marked do not erase. In capitals emphasized crimson highlight. That page had the cross-reference guide for component sourcing, regional storage markers, and which suppliers flagged us for delayed payment. He believed it was disorder. The initial fractures appeared. 2 of our regular suppliers emailed bookkeeping asking why they hadn't been paid for a late July. Bookkeeping forwarded the emails to Kevin, assuming he'd clarify his response. Let's begin anew. I'll utilize my own connections. He didn't CC anybody. He didn't follow up. Tuesday, the back end started malfunctioning. Kevin couldn't access the fleet monitoring software, stated the framework was too antiquated and that he'd devised something neater. That software tracked service cycles, shipment timing, and recall alerts. It wasn't attractive, but it functioned until it didn't. By Wednesday, it all started collapsing. 3 separate component orders vanished. 1 reroute landed in the incorrect area. A returning fleet client, Siemens, large agreement, appeared to collect 2 service vans and got handed the incorrect keys. One was a private resale automobile, still under lien. The other wasn't even in our framework. Lynn texted me mid-morning. He just called it a system error. I read the message while cutting bushes in the garden. It was 82 outside, muggy, and the shears were blunt. I didn't cease. Another message arrived a minute later. Picture of Kevin's Slack message to the team. No pressure, everybody. We're just smoothing out wrinkles in the new stream. Appreciate you surfing the wave. I had to sit down for a moment, not from the warmth, just to keep from cackling so hard I'd fall into the shrubs. By 4 o'clock, Lynn stated the delivery schedule had been erased. Kevin created a new one on Trello named Kevin's Operations Scheme. She stated it had 6 sections, 2 spelling mistakes, and 0 dates. I texted back, he's constructing a Jenga tower with damp pasta. Ehe. She liked the message but didn't reply. I understood what she was thinking. Identical thing I was. Justin believed he'd installed a next-generation coordination sorcerer. What he got was a guy who believed renaming folders and purchasing a seat was tactics. I returned to trimming. Hedge cuttings adhered to my limbs, perspiration dripping behind my ears. I didn't care. Every moment Kevin remained in that chair. The timer clicked louder. Let them call it a system error. The framework didn't. Thursday daybreak, Lynn texted me again. Parts prediction gathering cancelled. Kevin's states were shifting to live time coordination. I didn't respond, just continued spreading compost around the front shrubs. A few hours later, she followed up. Justin told everybody to keep it nimble and trust the change, trust the change. That was rich. By Friday, the fractures weren't just fractures anymore. They were widening. Delivery timetables were slipping. Chauffeurs were double booked. Invoicing had a pile of unsigned job orders they couldn't trace. One of the attendants said Kevin spent 20 minutes attempting to understand why the delivery schedule didn't have a reschedule all button. Lynn called me after lunch. He's failing, she stated. Everybody senses it. Even Manny's angry. Manny didn't get angry, not unless salary checks bounced. That night, Lynn sent me a picture. A parts record Kevin had attempted to update, badly. Scratched next to the PO number, my duplicate label was still there in ink. My initials, my old date style, same all capitals caution I always used for flagged suppliers. Her message came right after the picture. Did you leave this behind intentionally? I stared at the display for a second. Considered answering. Didn't. Let it remain. Monday, corporate's intermediate level regulation inspector flagged a transport record discrepancy. Something minor but out of order. Quarter-end information didn't match the supplier validations. Standard material. Until they went searching for the original records and couldn't locate any. The reason. Kevin had erased the saved routing documents when he streamlined the order stream. Vanished. Removed. No restore. Justin got CC'd on the regulation ticket. His reply. Those documents were always difficult to comprehend, possibly a filing error. Kevin's was worse. We don't utilize those old documents anymore. No salutation, no name. Just that one foolish phrase. The regulation official printed the email, word for word, in a new ma'am. Highlighted the final sentence, slipped it into a folder she kept labeled CYA. Cover your ass. Lynn said Monica, regulation support, was the one who did it. Silently. Cautiously. Didn't utter a word, just slid the paper in and clicked the drawer shut like she'd done it before. I asked Lynn if anybody else noticed. She said no, not yet, just strain. Even patrons were starting to sense it. One of our long-termers called in asking why his delivery date kept hopping. The planner told him, there's a new framework in place. He asked to speak to me, got told I didn't work there anymore. Lynn didn't say how he reacted. Didn't need to. Justin was running out of words that didn't mean anything. Kevin was running out of ways to blame the framework. And I was running out of bushes to cut. I wiped the perspiration off my neck and sat on the veranda. My phone vibrated again. This time an internal note from someone in dispatch must have been forwarded by Lynn. The subject line. Operational timeline reset. That meant nothing. But the body. Per leadership request, project task completion windows are now open-ended. Do not overemphasize deadlines. Translation. The place was failing and they were discarding timepieces. I sat back, looked out at the drive. The timer was halfway finished. Friday daybreak started with a buzz from Lynn. 3 chauffeurs just left, all of them. No notice. I sat up on the porch swing. Coffee half consumed. Mahra. Legs numb from sitting too long. Texts came through right after. They stated payments halted. Salary bounced them. I already knew why. Kevin had disabled the old salary path link to the fleet section. Dewey said it was unnecessary. Never connected it into the new backend. Without the connection, backend didn't communicate with payroll. Payroll didn't communicate with electronic deposit, and the framework, my framework, didn't alert him, because he erased the alert regulation set on day 2. Lynn followed with a third message. You'd think somebody would notice absent chauffeurs. Justin just told everybody to remain solution-focused. That afternoon, corporate announced a regional director of progress visit for the following Thursday. That quote when I understood we were near. Justin forwarded the announcement like it was an invitation to a grand opening. Pasted some quote about innovation, stated the timing was ideal to display their new work process. Lynn said Kevin took it as a personal test. He started rearranging the internal notice board, tore down the old rotation charts, substituted everything with pale Canva printouts and a sticker chart for metrics. The title at the top, Load-Free Coordination. Nobody understood what it meant. Not even Kevin. Monday. Lynn overheard him explaining it to the reception team. It's like reducing the mental burden of operational processes. He stated, we streamline by relieving cognitive flow. She stated one of the receptionists actually asked, you mean we stop thinking? Kevin replied, precisely. I just reclined and laughed into my coffee. Tuesday daybreak, Lynn sent me a picture of the visit schedule. Regional director, 3 regulation staff, 2 senior managers, tour, presentation, Q&A, and at the bottom, under coordination and fleet frameworks, or project manager, my full name, still there, still linked to it. No revision, no removal, just sitting there like I never departed. Lynn didn't add any emoticons, no humor, just one sentence under the picture. Timer ticking. She didn't need to say anything else. Kevin had 4 days left to figure out how to explain an entire framework he scarcely understood. And Justin, he was already rehearsing buzzwords in front of mirrors, probably. I walked out to the garden. Well, Jose still coiled where I left it the night before. Switched it on, let the water drench the edge of the fence line. I wasn't anxious. I'd built that framework to monitor everything, from path modifications to order stream to fleet distance. Every missed revision, every unsuccessful sync, every erased archive. Evo recorded in quiet. The CRM trigger was still operating, no markers. No warnings, just recording, silently. The timer didn't sound, didn't illuminate. It just clicked. Wednesday night, 6:13 p.m. Lynn forwarded the confirmation email. Confirmed. Regional director and regulation team will be on location 8 a.m. sharp. That was it. No filler. No smiley faces. I stared at the display sitting at my kitchen counter. Phone buzz still vibrating against the timber. Coffee gone cold. Fan whirring overhead. She followed up a few minutes later. They're doing a walkthrough. Justin's got Kevin rehearsing like it's the Academy Awards. Apparently Justin dragged the whole ops team through a mock tour. Even made Kevin practice handshakes and slide changes, called it a costume run. Kevin wore a buttoned shirt for once. Didn't tuck it in. Lynn stated he kept calling himself the field general of the future. Like that meant something. At 7:42 p.m., she sent one more message. He just erased the backup configuration folder, stated it was too lengthy to organize. Monica saw it. I paused, inhaled. That folder contained every recovery file from the last 3 years, error procedures, user restore information, historical flow records. The ones flagged critical were marked by framework regulations I wrote. Manually, he erased it like it was garbage. 10 minutes later, Lynn texted again. Monica found something. I didn't answer. This time, she called. Her voice was soft, no chit-chat. She was checking the remaining configuration tables, making sure regulations still had access. She stated, found a regulation buried in the March update. I leaned forward, pressing my hand into the counter. She read it 3 times, then read it out loud. I could hear the smile in Lynn's voice now. Barely, she stated. If leadership changes within 14 business days of a critical turnover, responsibility transfers to the appointing executive. She let it hang, and I asked. She didn't say anything after that. Just stared at the screen and said, oh. Then she backed out of the config, didn't close the window. Just minimized it. That regulation wasn't hidden, but it wasn't loud either. It had no pop-up. No bright symbol. It just existed. Waiting. A clean marker in the regulation protocol triggered automatically the moment Kevin was assigned as project head. And I was removed mid-cycle within 14 business days. Monica didn't report it. She didn't have to because the framework did. Right around 8:01 p.m. while Justin was probably brushing his teeth and Kevin was memorizing buzzwords in front of a mirror, the packet sent itself. Waham. Not a note, not a caution, a fully timestamped regulation packet attached to a regulation set clause that passed through corporate validation twice this year. It went straight to the regional director's inbox, subject line, responsibility assignment coordination regulation chain. I didn't do anything else that night, didn't reply, didn't call. Just turned off my phone, poured another cup and stared out the kitchen window at nothing. Let the framework work. The next morning, 8:02 a.m., the doors closed behind the regional director. Justin grinned like it was Christmas Day, wore a jacket over his usual shirt, and kept smoothing down the sleeves like he wanted it to fit tighter. Kevin stood next to him at the front of the conference room in white athletic shoes and a black turtleneck. Like he was about to present a meditation app. Slide 1 illuminated the screen, coordination reimagined in bold with a stock image of a highway and some hexagons floating behind it. Kevin stepped forward like he practiced in the mirror. What we've accomplished here is shifted from heritage load balancing to a blank slate infrastructure model, prioritizing cognitive adaptability and reducing stress bottlenecks across divisions. No one spoke. He clicked a slide to more hexagons. Justin interjected, "It's truly about dynamic changes. Our culture required movement, and Kevin's provided that." They flipped through more slides: workflow improvement, transport light, supply simplicity, each with less meaning than the last. At one point, Kevin used the phrase quantum-level responsiveness. Then it hit slide 9, fleet transition phase 2. That's when the compliance officer, tight gray suit, clipboard still closed, raised her hand. Where, the phase 2 confirmation? She asked. Justin blinked, looked at Kevin. Kevin didn't miss a beat. "Oh, we erased it." Her eyebrows barely moved. "Pardon me?" He shrugged, still holding the remote like it gave him authority. "The document was unnecessary. The metrics were heritage. I simplified." There was silence. Monica stood up from the back row, calm, quiet, walked to the front of the room without asking permission. She didn't look at Kevin, didn't even glance at Justin. She held up a printed sheet and set it on the table in front of the compliance officer. Triggered document. She stated, time-stamped 8:01 p.m. last night, subject line responsibility assignment coordination regulation chain. The compliance officer opened the folder, read the page, then looked at Justin. "You aware of this?" Justin squinted. "Of what?" She passed it to legal. Legal scanned it, flipped to the second page, locked compliance protocol. He stated, triggered by system regulations set for March, authenticated digital signature originated from. He paused, looked at Monica. She nodded. From the previous project manager. He finished, manual regulation set entry validated by platform logs. Justin's face lost its color. The regional director leaned forward, pulled the document across the table, read it out loud without rushing. In the event that leadership is reassigned within 14 business days of a critical operational transition, executive oversight will bear full responsibility for compliance, risk, system loss, and project fallout. He looked up. "You're confirming this was active during the transition?" Legal nodded, confirmed, verified, confirmed again last night by the system. Kevin tried to speak. "I didn't know." The regional director raised a hand. You re not being asked anything. Kevin froze, mouth open, breath caught halfway. Justin looked around the room, scanning for support. No one moved, even Layla stayed seated, arms crossed, eyes down. The regional director stood, straightened his jacket. "This falls under executive oversight failure." He stated, "Risk transfer is in effect. Corporate will conduct a secondary audit." Justin opened his mouth. Don't." Monica said flat. "You signed off on his access. You bypassed the dual check protocol. You erased the redundancy flag." Kevin looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. Legal began collecting papers. The compliance officer stood too. She tapped the triggered document once with her pen. Waha. This is a clean poll, not a complaint, not an accusation, just data. You brought this on yourselves. Justin didn't say a word. Kevin still hadn't moved. Monica walked out first, then legal, then compliance. Justin stayed standing for a minute too long. Then he finally sat elbows on the table, hands pressed to his temples. Lynn texted me 5 minutes later it landed. I didn't ask for details, didn't need to. I was standing on the pier with my father lying in the water, breeze off the lake sharp enough to feel clean. Sun just high enough to keep the chill off. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't check it right away, just leaned back, gave the line a pull, slow and steady. Something light was on it, nothing big. Probably a sunfish. Dad didn't say much. He never did, just cast again, quiet beside me, sipping his burnt gas station coffee. When the line tightened, I reeled it in. Little guy, maybe 6 inches, flopped like hell. While I was unhooking it, I finally pulled out my phone. Unknown number. Are you open to consulting work? Flexible terms, regional director's request. No name, just that. I watched the fish flick once in my hand, then go still. I dropped it gently back into the lake and wiped my fingers on my jeans. He didn't reply. Didn't need to, not yet. Back at the dealership, Lynn sent a message about an hour later. Justin, S being reassigned. Quietly, Kevin got walked out this morning. No goodbyes. I didn't smile, but I didn't frown either. Second message came 2 minutes later. Systems are being restored. Your backups loaded like nothing ever left. Then she sent a photo of the flash drive I left in the archive bin 6 months ago. Hand-labeled bright green tape. Use only if they get too cocky, written in Sharpie. I stared at that photo longer than I meant to. Dad reeled in a perch, didn't even look over. You want this one? He asked. Nah, I said, toss it back. He did. I slid my phone into my tackle box and snapped it shut. Left it on silent. The sun was out. The water was calm. Let them reach if they want me. I'll decide if I reach back. If you like the story, please don't forget to like and subscribe.